Alright, we're going to talk about some properties of addition and multiplication. And the first one is the commutative property. And when I give definitions, I just give you what they mean to me, not a textbook definition. So if you ever give me definitions, I'm expecting the same thing. Just give me what it means to you. So commutative property means that order doesn't matter. So let's look at a couple problems here. So let's say we had 5 plus 4. Well, that equals 9. If we switch the order and we did 4 plus 5, that would also equal 9. So we can see with addition, our order really doesn't matter. We can do the same thing with multiplication. I can do 5 times 4 equals 20. Well, switch the order around, 4 times 5, that also equals 20. This only works for addition and multiplication. Give you an example of one that doesn't work. Would be subtraction. So if we did 5 minus 4, that would equal 1. But if we switched the order around and did 4 minus 5, that would equal negative 1. And 1 and negative 1 are not the same. Alright, next is the associative property, and this means you can change the grouping symbols and still have the same value. Really what we're looking for in all of this is the same value. So I didn't add that part, but that's really what we're looking for, is this having the same value. So let's say we had 4 plus 7 plus 2. That equals 4 plus 7 plus 2. So if we look at our grouping symbols, that tells us what to do first. So in that first one, we got to do 7 plus 2, which is 9. So then we'd end up with 4 plus 9, which equals 13. So we do the other problem. 4 plus 7 is 11. Plus 2 is 13. So I changed what numbers my grouping symbols are around, but I still got the same value. Alright, next is the identity property, which just means the value doesn't change. So we can add or multiply by something over and over again without ever changing the value of what we started with. So an example of this would be with addition. Let's go with 5 plus 0. 5 plus 0 is still 5. If I did 12 plus 0, it would still equal 12. If I did 3,532 plus 0, it would still equal 3,532. So I can add 0 all day long and always get the same value. So my value doesn't change. If I do multiplication, I could do times 1. 5 times 1 is still 5. 12 times 1 is still 12. 3,532 times 1 is still 3,532. So the identity property is either adding 0 or multiplying by 1. Alright, so why are these properties important? Well, if you look at these two questions I have here, we're going to use some of the properties. So I'm going to use the commutative property on the first one. So instead of doing 56 plus 18, I'm going to start with 56 plus 4. So I'm changing my order. 56 plus 4 equals 60. Plus 18. So 60 plus 18 would be 78. So it was a lot easier for me to add 60 and 18 than it was for me to add 56 and 18. So changing my order just made it easy for me to do that problem. And then the same thing on the next one. Let's say this has grouping symbols in there. Let's say we're supposed to do 17 times 5 first. Well, I'm not real good with my 17s. I never really learned my multiplication of 17s. So I don't want to do that one first. I'm going to change this to be 2 times 5 first times 17. Because 2 times 5, I know that one. That's pretty easy. So 2 times 5 is 10 times 17. Well, 10 times something, I'm just moving my place value. So 10 times 17 would be 170. So by using the associative property, I made that problem a lot easier to work.